Hi everyone, and welcome back to Dimensional Wellness. This is DeeDee, and I'm so glad to be here with you today, exchanging some energy. Today we're going to be talking about an Akashic record reading that I had. So this Akashic record reading was very, very interesting. Let me see, because I always forget exactly what the day is. Did I say welcome, Dimensional Wellness? I'm excited to be exchanging some energy today. I can't remember if I said that. I think I did, though. But I'm going to say it again just in case I did not. Okay. So let me open this link right quick. Okay. Well, that's not actually not what I was trying to do. Let me go back to October. Is this October 22? Okay, perfect. I believe that it was October 26th, but let me make sure. Ugh. This is so irritating. I hate when it does this. Okay. So what day is this? October 25th. Okay. Oh, did I have it right after the Poseidon situation dream? The Stevie Nicks. Okay. The 26th. Is that when I have it? 27th. My happy 8 months to Nixie. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So October 27th. And I like to just say the days because, sometimes it's really significant. So October 27th, is when I had this session. Okay, so, interesting. So they said that Ray was almost interesting. I found the coffin and opened the sarcophagus up. Okay. And have my session. Okay. So, yes. Okay. So I had this session on October 27th. I met this wonderful woman, and she actually is the same woman that I talked about in the praying mantis dream, which was pretty wild. And I think I go into the whole thing about how she brought me Dolores Cannon books and everything. That's in the praying mantis. So it's the same woman, and we did a spiritual exchange. So I did a QHHT session for her, and so this is her exchange because she reads. Well, she doesn't actually read the Akashic records. She puts you into a space in order to read your own Akashic records. And so in the Akashic session, it actually started off where I was in this space. Okay, so I have something called an astral temple, and I think I read this in a book on Scribe, looking for astral projection stuff. It's something that I'm really, really focused on. Astral projection, lucid dreaming, vivid dreaming, remote viewing, all these things. And it has taken me a while to move a little bit. That's a whole nother situation. But anyways, I have this thing that's called an astral temple, which is pretty much where you, in your mind, create a safe space. And so you go to your safe space, which I haven't been to my safe space in a very long time now that I'm talking about it. But it just wasn't really taking form, I guess. That's probably the best reason I could explain as to why. Certain things I focus on and I immediately see them. But this one, I just wasn't interacting with it in dream time or anything like that. It just wasn't taking form. It was very interesting. But anyways, nonetheless, in this Akashic record session, I went to this astral temple. And so this astral temple was like this glass pyramid that was like in the backyard of my dream house. Okay. And so I would envision myself sitting in it and meditating. So in the Akashic record session, that's what I saw myself do first, which I thought was interesting because, like I said, I hadn't actually been interacting with it or anything. So I thought it was interesting that it showed up. So I was like, yeah, I'm in my astral temple. And that's when like it lifted off of the ground, kind of like a little portable spaceship kind of situation. It really reminded me of Doctor Who and like the telephone booth, like just, doing time travel and stuff. That's really what it reminded me of. And so anyway, so it lifted off the ground and it just started moving on its own. And the next thing I know, I landed and it transitioned to like this big old kind of teepee. And I was like, oh, it's like I'm in a teepee. And so when I got up to the teepee, because it was kind of like I was outside of it, and then I realized that this was like separate and this was a different situation. I realized that I was like a young man. And I was looking at my father and he was like laying on the ground and he looked to be lifeless. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think that he's dead. I think he's dead. And so, she was running me through, what I could do and things like that. ACAB. I don't know why I'm focusing on that, but a cob. I wonder if that is a word or something, because I parked in a spot that I usually don't park in, and usually when I do things like that, like I do something that I don't usually do, I see things that I wouldn't have usually seen, and it's usually really significant. So I just want to see if this is like connected to what I'm talking about today. I think this is something about cops. That's it's derogatory. Okay. So anyways, whatever. So I was looking at this gentleman who I realized was like my father. And like I said, he was like lifeless on the ground. I was like, oh my gosh, I think that he's dead. And so the next thing I know though, his spirit started talking to me. And he was like, how did you get here? And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I think he is dead, but his spirit is talking to me. And then that's when he let me know that he, in fact, was not dead, but he was actually a really advanced astral projector. And so his body looked like he was lifeless and things like that. But that was because he had, I don't know, like projected all of his energy out of his body into his astral form. And so he was interacting with me as I was quantumly interacting with him. It was very wild. And so I was like, oh, this is like really intense. I'm like, no, he's like really advanced. He's really advanced. So I told him, I was trying to, relive some memories that I had forgotten. And so he kind of stepped out of the way and he let this memory play out. So what I ended up seeing was him sitting in this kind of teepee situation, and he was sitting on something that was supposed to be representing a couch, okay? And I was sitting in front of him like Indian style. That's what we call it, Indian style. And he had this kind of, it wasn't really a pipe. It was kind of like a smoke tray, and there was some type of instrument that he used to create this type of smoke, but it wasn't like a pipe that he had. I don't remember seeing like a pipe. It was like a kind of like a smoke tray or something. I feel like it was made out of like leather, and it looked like a little mini stand or something. Like I don't know if it I don't know, peyote is coming to my mind, but I don't know if that's connected to the Lakota tribe. But maybe it's prepared something like peyote. I don't know. Let me see. Lakota peyote. Yeah, do they use it? There are many Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota people as well as citizens where peyote is ingested. Oh, interesting. Okay. Like, how is peyote used? Because it was very specific what I saw. It was very specific on how it was prepared, this thing. Anyways, I'm not going to focus too much on it. Like, between, like, now and whenever I do the timestamps, if I come across it, I'll post it. But it was a very, very specific tool and smoke that was being, like, inhaled. And so we were doing this because we were going to have, like, a sacred talk about something. That's what I would say. Like, we were going to have a really in-depth talk, and I think that this smoke or whatever we're inhaling put us into an altered state to be able to talk freely, like, and I feel like kind of also like mind to mind or something. It was like a really intense talk. And so pretty much what I understood with this conversation we were having was that he was going to be passing on the chiefdom or something like that to me. And it was something about, like, he wanted to do it, or maybe that was part of the tradition, I can't exactly remember, but that it got passed on, like, before the chief died. And that was primarily to make sure that all of the energy that has been accumulated from, you know, one chief to the next chief to the next chief, that you get, like, the full gamut of the energy, because it has a snowball effect. That's what I would say. So it's not just like a spiritual passing on, it's also a physical, like, transference of energy. And so with this physical transference of energy, each chief becomes stronger. And it's also like a physical inheritance of energy as well. Because I kind of want to, like, focus on that, because this was very specific on what I was seeing. So it wasn't just like a spiritual initiation into the ancestor realm or something. It was like each successive, each why am I having a hard time with these S words right now? These C and S words right now. Each successive person accumulated even more energy than the last, because you literally absorb all of the energy from the forefathers. And that's why his astral projection skills were so amazing, because he had the accumulated knowledge of all of these chiefs. Okay. And so it was coming time where he was going to transfer his energy to me. And when I think about it, it's definitely giving, like, American Horror Story Coven, like, where the Supreme, as she's growing in power and stuff like that, she starts to, you know, take the power of the previous Supreme, and then it, you know, takes power from the previous Supreme, so that Supreme ends up dying, and then the new Supreme inherits all the power. Now, of course, it was different, because everyone is aware of this process, and it's a conscious process where they consciously give you the energy as, like, an offering. And so, of course, after this initiation, after this ceremony begins, it's usually not too long until the previous chief, who's probably your father, is going to pass away. Okay. And so I was sitting there and everything. And as he was, like, you know, giving me, like, how would I describe it? So it was like, in this initiation, there were, like, certain, like, I mean, of course, being the chief's son, because I was a male, of course, being the chief's son and everything like that, there are certain things that, like, I just knew about the initiation process, but it's like this one was different, because they start telling you stories that you had not heard before. So it was like there are certain stories, which makes sense, of course, that you only get an initiation when the power is transferring to you, okay? And as he was transferring these stories to me, telling them to me, I noticed that there was a big, huge red heifer sitting at the foot of this kind of couch situation. So it wasn't like clearly like a modern couch like we have, but it was something that was supposed to be representing a couch. There's this huge, beautiful, like mesmerizing red cow, a female regal red cow. And I was so infatuated because it had this regal appearance to it. It was alive, but it was like, I want to say like very well behaved, I guess. And she had this sort of energy radiating from her. And I was thinking, like, where did this red cow even come from? Because I don't think she's been here the whole time. Like, has she been here the whole time? It was really baffling to me. I'm like, I would have noticed this big old red cow here the whole time. So anyway, so we finished with this first part, which is like the transference of the stories, right? So I feel like it kind of skipped, and it was like maybe like the next day where I was actually going to like one of the final parts of the ceremony, which this part of the ceremony took place in public. Now, I know that this is a part of the Lakota tribe, because that's what I saw in my head. This is Lakota tribe. So I have not studied into Lakota tribe or anything like that before I had the session. So I've studied into it a little bit since I've had it, and there's been some interesting stuff that's been happening, like since I've had this session, which is a whole nother story, a whole nother situation. But I remember in my head, I was like, because she asked me, she was like, what tribe are you a part of? Are you in the Americas or something like that? And I was like, it's not Dakota. I think it's Lakota. And I don't think that I had really heard of the Lakota tribe, like maybe in passing or something like that. I'm sure probably like in passing, but I didn't really know anything about the Lakota tribe, but I was like, this is Lakota tribe right now. And so anyways, this was a part of the ceremony where this was like in front of the, I want to say congregation, but that's like a Baptist term, but in front of the community. So this wasn't as intimate as the first kind of initiations. Those were, more close-knit, but this was more of like the public passing on. And so anyway, we were in full garb and things like that. I remember definitely seeing some type of headdress and some other things. I don't remember the colors or anything now. But I remember that one of the last things that I had to do, like right before I got this power, was that I had to slaughter this red cow. And she was alive and looking at me, and that was like going to be the thing that anchored the passing on of the energy from one chief to me. And y'all, I would not do it. I was like, what? You didn't tell me. And I remember thinking, like, looking at him with like a confused expression, like, you didn't tell me I was gonna have to kill the cow. And I refused to. I was like, I'm not going to do it. And so I remember that everyone was silent. Everyone was silent. They did not know what to do. Even like this fatherly energy did not know what to tell me, because I wouldn't do it. I was like, I'm not going to. I was like, there's got to be a different way. And he was like, there's no other way. This has been the tradition. I'm like, I'm not about to do it. Like, there's got to be a different way. He was like, you will do it. And so we started getting into like a little verbal spat, because I was like, I'm not going to do it. And you can't force me to. I'm not going to kill this animal. I'm not going to slaughter this animal. And so the next thing I know, crazy, but the next thing I know, I'm being like kicked out. And so because they felt like it was a rejection of who is playing that? Somebody's like playing their radio on their bike and it's like super loud. I wonder what it's talking about. Anyways, they were looking at it as like me rejecting all of my heritage. And I was like, whoa, like, I'm not like rejecting my heritage because I'm rejecting this one practice. I'm like, we can do it. We just have to do it a different way because I'm not going to do this. But they felt like it was disrespectful. They felt like, you know what I'm saying? Like they felt like you're disrespecting our customs. They're disrespecting our family. And so they kicked me and the cow out, child. I know. They kicked me and the cow out. We had to go. And so I was like, okay, cool. And like, he kind of gave me like one more option. Like, you know, you could just kill the cow and like all this will go away. But it was feeling real devilish. I'm not gonna lie. So I was like, nah, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna do it. So the next thing I know, and I felt like this part, it kind of started feeling symbolic, but I know that it was actually based on something though. I want to say that it started looking really symbolic, but there actually was something that was returning. You'll see what I'm saying. So the next thing I know, what I saw was like me on the edge of this community, and then I was wandering in the desert with this heifer, this red cow, okay? And it was even like, because even, and like nothing on the person who was doing the session, even she was like, I feel like the cow wants you to slaughter her. I feel like she's made peace with this and she's going to be okay with it. Like the people in the memory were wanting me to kill the cow. Excuse me, the Akashic record person who I was talking to was like, I feel like you should kill the cow. I was going to get to everyone. And it was funny because even the cow, as we were walking in the desert, and I mean, it was hot and she was thirsty. Like, even she, it felt like, had a sense of, like, you should have just sacrificed me. I'm like, I'm really trying to save your life, girl. Like, you're wildin'. Like, when you die and you, like, don't have to, like, die through all this pain and stuff like that, you'll really thank me that. I mean, I guess, like, being dehydrated is, like, not that awesome either, but it's way better than being murdered and stuff. So I'm like, I promise you. So anyways, we got into the desert and the cow died. I remember that. The cow died. And I was like, well, at least I saved her from being murdered. So it was like the day where I left the cow and I continued to wander in the desert until I came across this entity. And when I saw this entity, I 1,000% immediately knew that he was not just a djinn, but he was like the djinn of djinns, okay? I don't know how to describe what he looks like other than, like, you know it when you see it. You know, it's kind of like a tattered, kind of black shadow type of energy, but you know it when you see it. Like you see it and you're like, this is a djinn. It's not really a question. And so I was like, oh, interesting. So he had found me wandering in the desert. So I thought that he had just come across me. But actually he was coming to find me because he was returning something to me. And this is like the key part. And he was very reluctant about it. I also want to say that, like, he was not gung-ho about this. But he had in his hand this stone. And it looked like rolling lava. It was an orange stone and it was moving and it was fiery, but there was no fire. And it was a stone, but it was also moving, so it wasn't stationary. And it had like a rolling kind of motion to it. I mean, it was hypnotic. I was like, what is this? And he reluctantly handed it to me. And when I grabbed it from him, I realized that that was like a piece of my soul that had returned. Like, it was a soul retrieval that I had done for myself. And he had reluctantly given it back to me because I chose not to sacrifice this cow. I want to say that again because I'm writing a book. I'm writing a children's book that's going to be all about this. And I actually had this idea for the children's book before I had this Akashic Records session. So immediately when it was coming down to slaughtering this cow, I already knew what time it was. And it was like, don't do it. He had to give me back this piece of my soul I did not even know was missing, and I did not even remember that he had it. He had to return it to me because I had chosen not to, in a sense, do this blood magic, do this blood ritual, that I had decided instead of accumulating all of this power and, things like that, and instead I chose the life of this cow who didn't even want me to save it either. I got something returned to me that I didn't even know that he had. And so I took it. And I was like, thanks. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I'm sure it's significant. And I also knew that it was directly connected to Medusa as well. So it was like some type of flameless fire, which I ended up looking up that, the Djinns were supposed to be made of flameless fire. And that's what the stone looked like. It looked like kind of like between a peach salmon red kind of stone with white in it. And it looked like red coral a little bit, kind of, but like more on a salmon color. And then I actually found out that there's a story linking Medusa and red coral. And oh my gosh, it was just so crazy because he was so irritated that he had to give it to me. Like, he was not looking forward to that at all. Like, he was not looking forward to that. And so I kept it, and I took it, and I kept it back. And I was just like, thank you. Thank you. And then, of course, that's when I started having the dreams in December. So about a month and a half later is when I started having other dreams about the red heifer that was coming, which I think that I talked about that. I did talk about that in my Dimensional Dream podcast episode 1, the red heifer prophecy. I'll talk about that. And then later on, I'll talk about the other 2 dreams. So it was very seamless how it happened. Even I just saw recently, because after I had this session, I talked to a friend and she was telling me that, let me explain that. So the red heifer, the red cow that I saw, I believe was the white buffalo calf woman. So I'm going to read you a little bit about white buffalo calf woman. Not the whole thing, because I just don't want to read all of it. But I'm going to read some of it because, like I said, I did not know about this story before I had this session. This was October 27th that I had this session. Okay. So, I'm going to read the beginning and then I'm going to skip around. Okay. So, the traditional story is that 19 generations ago, there was a time of famine. The chief of the Lakota sent out 2 scouts to hunt for food. While the young men traveled, they saw a white cloud in the distance. Then from the cloud, they saw a woman. As they approached, they saw that it was a beautiful young native woman in white buckskin. She had dark hair, skin, and eyes. One of the men was filled with lust for the woman. He approached her, telling his companion he would attempt to claim her as his wife. His companion warned him that she appeared to be a sacred woman, and to do anything sacrilegious would be dangerous and disrespectful, but his advice was ignored. The second man watched as the first approached and embraced the woman, during which time the cloud enveloped the pair. When the cloud disappeared, only the mysterious woman and a pile of the first man's bones remained. The remaining man was frightened and began to draw his bow. That's highly unfortunate. I'm not laughing at him. That's just highly unfortunate because that man told you, like, leave her alone. Okay, and it's 8:22, and like, that's really significant. Okay, but the holy woman beckoned him forward, telling him that no harm would come to him, as she could see into his heart, and he did not have motives the first man had. Okay, so I'm gonna like skip down, which they don't even seem like they even talk about this. Stem, bowl, tobacco, breath, and smoke. Oh, yeah. This one doesn't go into like how she like basically shapeshifted into like 4 different cows. One was like a white cow. I think one was like a spotted cow. One was the red heifer, the red cow or buffalo. And then one was a brown cow. That could not be the actual 4 ones, but pretty much that's the thing. So they actually just have recently on November, the 9th, 10th, or 11th. I can't remember. It could have been the 11th though. Where a white buffalo calf was actually born, and that was supposed to be fulfilling a prophecy of the Lakota people that's connected to this white buffalo calf woman. Now, I've seen her a few times in the dream world, and she is very interesting. For some reason, I'm not gonna lie, she really reminds me of the energy of La Llorona. And she has like these black eyes. Her hair always looks like she's like, it doesn't even look like she's blowing in the wind. Like, honestly, and I'm not trying to be like graphic or anything, but it looks like a woman who's been sitting in water, who's deceased for a while. Like how your hair spreads out in water. That's like what her hair looks like to me. And she's got a very interesting energy. I wouldn't say that it's like loving and stuff like that. It's very strange. It's very paranormal, I would say. And so anyway, she ended up helping them in some type of way, helping them with the peace pipe. So she gave them the peace pipe in order to call all the buffalo. And I think it's like a sound that mimics buffaloes or something like that. So the buffaloes think that like it's like another buffalo that's calling them. Then they get called to the town center, and it makes it really easy for them to be able to kill them and slaughter them, so that they could feed their family. And she said that if you ever don't use the peace pipe, so they're supposed to use it in some type of ritual or something like that. And then if they ever don't do the ritual, that she will return. And it has some type of ominous feel to it. Like, you can be in trouble if you don't use this peace pipe and slaughter these buffalo. And so, yeah. And then, of course, I wouldn't say of course, but then in December, going into the new year, I had the dream about the red heifer. Same animal. And then there were 5 red heifers that were born in Texas in September. Okay, so I had this in October. September, they had these heifers born that they transferred to Israel. And now that's what they're waiting on in Israel is for, I think the preparations are ready. They were supposed to slaughter these cows in September. But obviously, with all the stuff that happened in October, nobody has like a set stake on where they're going to be building. And I'm sure a lot of different groups, Abrahamic groups, want to be a part of this 3rd temple being built, so that they can slaughter this cow and use her ashes to cleanse them, and then start the building of the 3rd temple to magnetize the Jewish people's Messiah, right? Because all the Jews don't believe in Jesus. You know, they're Messianic Jews, but they don't all believe in Jesus. And so, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And then there was, okay. I'm going to leave it at that because I'm starting to get winded, okay? That means it is time to wrap it up. So that's what I wanted to say about that. And I'm very curious to see how everything is going to play out, because I didn't actually read about the white calf prophecy. We can actually read it right quick. Let's read it right quick together, because I just happened to see that randomly like a few days ago on Instagram. I think maybe even one of my friends sent it to me, because I had been telling her about it. I think one of my friends sent it to me, or I just happened to see it. Maybe I sent it to her. Fellow calf prophecy. Okay. Okay, so the story of the birth of the white buffalo calf goes as follows. Long ago, there was a great famine, and the Lakota chief sent out 2 scouts. So we know that. Enclosed the pair. She instructed the scout to go back to his people and tell them of her arrival. When the white buffalo calf woman arrived, she brought the white buffalo calf shanupa, which is the pipe, the most sacred object a person can possess, and taught them 7 sacred ways to pray. Before she left, she told the people that she would return again to restore harmony and spirituality to a troubled world. She then rolled upon the earth 4 times, changing color each time, and turned into a white buffalo calf before she disappeared. As she left, great herds of buffaloes surrounded the camps. When a white buffalo calf is born, it is a sign that their prayers are being heard and that the promises of the prophecies are being fulfilled. To American Indians, a white buffalo calf is the most sacred living thing on earth. The calf is assigned to begin life's sacred loop. Some American Indians say the birth of a white calf is an omen because the birth takes place in most unexpected places and often happens among the poorest of people. The birth is sacred within the American Indian communities because it brings a sense of hope, and it is a sign that good times are about to happen. So on August 20th, 1994, a white buffalo calf called Miracle was born in Janesville, Wisconsin. She's believed to be the first buffalo calf born since 1933. As of today, the last known white buffalo calf baby was born on July 4th, 2012, in Avon, Minnesota, but sadly died 2 weeks later. And they just had one born recently. Let me see if I can find that. So it was brought 2,000 years ago. It is connected to South Dakota. That's funny because I'm like, it's not Dakota, it's Lakota. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the most recent one. Oh, and this is from September 7th, 2023. Okay, hold on, because they just had one. White buffalo calf. Yeah, they just had one born. This. Okay. Okay. So it said it was a newly born 30-pound white bison calf born to another white bison named Wyoming Hope. She had him all cleaned up, and in 15 minutes, he was up walking around. Some media has misreported that the calf is albino, which Sager says is inaccurate. The population of those white bison are still fairly small, but they are definitely more populous than albinos by a long way. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, cattlemen attempted to cross bison with cows, hoping to gather the best benefits from both species. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's 8:33. I'm probably about to go ahead and get off of here. Oh, look, Meta AI, interesting. I did send it to this friend. Let me see if I could just find it on here right quick. 8:33 is a good time. Let me see if I can find it. Well, that stopped at 40:44. The Instagram video started playing, and so it stopped the rest of it playing. But that's all I wanted to say, you guys. I'm about to go ahead and go home and spend some time with my husband, get some rest and everything like that. Make sure to do all of the fun things that we do here on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Heavy on the commenting. Make sure that you share it with a friend. And I will be back in the next video. Bye. Okay, I'm going to... Ooh, it's 9:13. Interesting. That's supposed to be like a really big day in the occult. September 13th. I kind of forgot why. But maybe I'll leave a link below when I go back in due time, same stuff like that. So today is February 12th, and I'm going to be posting this today. I did this back in November, but I have a little bit of an update. Okay. And it's just so wild because every person I talk to, I'm like, you really should jot down your dreams, and then I just highly recommend to put it in Google Drive, or some type of program where you can go back and use a search function, because things are cyclical, and I've found that there's a lot of loops that happen. So it's it's not just chronologically happening, right? So it's I've realized right now in this time period, to give an example, right now in this time period, this is a reflection of course, October 2022. And then also it's a reflection of June 2023. And then now this. So there's something that happened October that reflected June 2023 that's reflecting now February 2024. And so, if you have your dreams written out and you have a search function, you can start to put together, by certain things that are coming up, what cycle is starting or what information is coming to expound on a previous cycle. So I just highly recommend that. But let me get to this update. So then, and I'm going to talk about this when I get more information on it. I might have mentioned it, and sometimes you're going to hear me mention things multiple times as if I didn't mention it, because sometimes I forget that I didn't mention it already. Yeah, but you never hear the same story twice. So I feel like it's going to be okay. Okay, so, yeah, and this goes into last night, which I knew that February 11th was going to be really, really interesting, and I needed to really pay attention to it. So, oh my gosh, what day was that? Actually, let me go inside and get on my computer right quick, because I forgot exactly which day it was that I had this dream about the cave of hidden treasures. And this has got a little bit of information. Ooh, let me check the mailbox right quick. Oh, I know. I'm coming. Okay, nothing. Okay. All right, let me go inside. Oh, I forgot I locked the door. I lock my door all the time. Okay, let me see. Okay. Okay. Ooh, 9:17. Oh, my wonderful flowers. Yesterday, I bought myself some wonderful roses. We are, child, what did these kids do to the thing? Okay. Bought myself some wonderful orange roses with baby breath. Yummy. Smells so good too. Okay. Let me see what day this was, because I kind of forgot what day it was. Okay. Yeah, I dropped off all the kids at school, so I can be at the house going through my notes and give you guys dates, okay? And I like to do that because the dates always are super important. Excuse me, it's always super relevant. Okay. So was it October 23rd? Was it? I think it was October. Let me see. I think it was like, hold on. Okay. Valkyrie. Okay. Hidden treasures. Hidden under the grid. Ooh. Okay, let's see. Okay, it was not October. All right, let me see. Was it December? I don't think it was December. Okay, let me see. It could have been December. It feels like it was longer than that. Hidden treasures. Yeah, okay. So this was, okay, I'm talking about hellhounds, Olin, Newt. This was about Lil Wayne, so no. Okay. In the midst of hidden treasures guarded by Arana Blanca, so often depicted. That's not the one I'm talking about. Oh, look, I'm talking about Odessa here. Yeah, I'm going to mention Odessa in a second. Wait, what does it say about Odessa? The Crusades went out in 1096 to find the genealogy of biblical Jesus in Odessa. Wow, I forgot that I even wrote that down because that's what's been coming up. And we're going to talk about Odessa in just a second. Mr. Ellis, have you heard of Göbekli Tepe in Odessa? It's the oldest megalith in history. Yeah, and then look, this what I'm telling you is like so important to write things down because right under that, I talk about Hathor, who, of course, is a red cow. Now, there's a few goddesses that are linked to the red heifer, but Hathor is probably the biggest one that we recognize as a red heifer. Okay, Astral Temple, Odin, Hierophant, Hathor, and the Cave of Hidden Treasures. That energy was Cupid of Mesopotamia. Yeah, okay, we're going to get to that in a second. Okay, when did I have this dream? Where is it? Was it in August? I don't think it was all the way back in August. Okay, let me see. Hidden. I'm going to have to just find it later, and I'll let you know when I find it. So I'm having a hard time finding it, which has been a thing lately where there's like really pivotal dreams and I can't find them. And then like a week goes by and then all of a sudden I can find them again. So I don't know. I'll post the date when I find it. But anyways, the point is that so I woke up one day from this dream. And, it was definitely in October because it was right after everything popped off in the Middle East. And I remember that I went to sleep and I was thinking about like, what could we do? And, oh, goodness. So I was like, what is going on? You know what I'm saying? Like just what's going on? And so the response that I got was I ended up in this dream. And in this dream, I was standing in front of this cave, okay? I was standing in front of this cave, and there was this cave guardian. And he definitely looked Middle Eastern. And I'm going to tell you exactly who it looked like, which is so interesting because Odessa was coming up. He looked like a picture of what they say with the Mandalion of Odessa, which is like the cloth of Odessa, which is like the cloud of Turin. The cloth of Turin, what did they call it? The cloth of Turin. Let me see, of Turin, it'll come up. Image of Turin, shroud of Turin, shroud of Turin. And so I'm going to also link a picture of the specific one because they have a few different renditions, but they believe that in earlier times that there actually was an image that this Prince of Odessa sent to Akbar, I think his name was, Akbar of Odessa. Ooh, child, I'm getting all of this. Hold on, let me just go ahead and look it up. Okay. Akbar. Oh, is that like Allah Akbar? Oh, Lord. Was it Odessa? I think it was Odessa. I'm talking about Odessa. Abgar. Sorry, Abgar. Also called Ukama, meaning the black in Syriac. Other dialects of Aramaic was the king of Osrun. Ooh. With his capital at Odessa. And so he sent a message to a guy that they called Izas, Izas, right? I don't think it was the second. Was it the second? And this does go, Izas, and this does go into Ralph Ellis's theory. And this is why I'm bringing it up, because this is what I ended up seeing. Okay, so he was the guardian over this cave. Okay, and he had a very interesting look, and I'm gonna show it when I link the specific image that I'm talking about. He looked exactly like this person. Now, I didn't see the image of this Prince of Odessa until yesterday when I was looking up some other stuff. And then how fate has it, you land on some other stuff that you weren't even looking for, and it connects back to some other stuff you didn't even know was connected to this, which makes sense now, right? It makes sense now, but at the time I was like, that's so wild. Anyways, so it looks like this guy but with shorter hair. So he was the guardian over this cave, and he was staring at me, and I was staring at him, and I was like, I don't think that I should even go in this cave because he had a very, I don't know how to describe it, but I've only seen this like a few other times. Like there is a pan energy. There's a pan energy that's almost like right at the border of preteen and teen, like 12, 13. And if you've seen him before, you know, he's kind of like a satyr, but a little bit of like I would say a satyr. Is that what you say? Satyr? You know, like a goat bottom, but I don't know. It kind of also is like a centaur a little bit too. Like it was kind of oscillating between 2 legs and 4 legs. But anyways, if you've seen him, he has a very strange energy. I can't quite put my finger on it. It's a little bit of trickster, a little bit of diabolical, and a little bit of like it could be kind, but you know, like you could tell like its kindness is very specific to certain people, because how they show up to a lot of people is evil. That's what I would say. So this is the same feeling that I was getting from this guardian over this cave. And so obviously I'm looking at him, and like his gaze is like, you know, this mysterious, a little bit diabolical, you know, it could be cordial kind of thing. But it was like obvious that he was like inviting me into this cave, but I just didn't know what was in the cave. And so, I made the decision. I was like, okay, I'll at least like open the cave and then I'll see how I feel. So as I was making the decision, I was like, at least I'm going to open it. I saw these two rocks. So this was like gray stone. Okay. It was like two gray, big, huge gray stones over this cave. And there was like a number combination that you had to get the number correctly. And so I think I can say the number combination because I felt like it was different for each person. So anyways, maybe I won't say it, but I will say that it was connected to Oz, O-Z, Oz. Okay. And so in this connection to Oz, it's connected to Oz. Okay. Okay, so anyways, there's a number combination, and so you had to do like the same numbers on the left as the right. So it had to be a reflection of the numbers, a different combination, but the same exact numbers. And there's actually a female energy because like I was like kind of going through the numbers on the left side, and then I locked in because I was like, oh, these must be the numbers. Then when I got to the right side, I was like, there's so many more number combinations, and I wanted to go through all of the numbers. And I was like, oh my gosh, how do I pick the next set of numbers? And so this female energy stepped in on my left side, and she was like, they have to be a reflection. And I remember that I was like, I don't know if that's correct. So I was like using different numbers, and she was like, no, they have to be a reflection of the left side. And so I was like, oh, okay. So then I got the combination on the other side using a reflection of the left side. Okay, they have to be the same numbers. And so I was like, wow, that's crazy. So anyways, the door ended up opening to this cave. And then it seemed like his grin got a little bit more diabolical. And so I was like, I've got this female guardian who just helped me open it. So I'm assuming that I'm protected in some type of way from this. So I do know it was in October. The dream was in October. And it's a reflection of October 2022. Wild. So almost like a year to the date is when I had this dream. Okay. So I'm gonna get to the point of why I'm bringing this up because I know I've been talking for a while. So anyways, the cave door opens and the dream ends with me just unsure if I want to actually commit to walking in. Because I was just like, it just feels like a setup. Because this cave guardian or whatever, I don't know. It was just giving me weird vibes. It was just weird vibes in general. So I was like, I don't know if I really should. I don't know if I 1,000% feel comfortable. So that's when I woke up kind of faced with this decision on if I was going to actually walk in. So I got it unlocked and I was like, okay, am I actually going to go in though? So then that leads me to yesterday, which was February 11th. Okay. This is crazy. So, and this is actually over the new moon too. So it was the 9th, 10th, and 11th. There was some things building up. And then yesterday is when I actually got the information. So I realized that I did decide to go into this cave. And so it was this dream in October. I don't know if it was another day, one of those days that I don't remember the dreams. That's what I kind of feel like. Well, I don't remember all of them. But one of those days I did actually decide to go into the cave. So I don't have a memory of me actually deciding to walk into the cave and going in, but I do have a memory of me being in the cave. Okay. So when I went in the cave, child, there was a Djinn in there. There was a Djinn in there. And he's supposed to be the father of the Djinn, and his name is Abu, A-B-U, which I actually written down Abu a while ago, and I kept seeing that name, and I was the only Abu that I know was the monkey or whatever in Aladdin. And so I was like, oh, okay, is that the cave of hidden treasures? But, the Aladdin monkey is the one that I kept thinking about, but actually this father of the Djinn, his name is also Abu. And so I was talking to Abu, and he let me know that he was actually the Djinn that had actually hit Ooh, excuse me. Excuse me. He was actually the Djinn that actually handed me the, whatchamacallit, what do you call it? The stone in the desert. Which he looked completely different in the desert than he did, I guess, hydrated child. And he also let me know that he can shapeshift. He can change forms, especially in the astrals. It's really hard. Easy. It's really easy in the astrals to change forms. So how he looked in the astrals, the first time I saw him, you would obviously know it's a Djinn. Immediately when I saw him in the desert after the red heifer died, I immediately knew he was a Djinn. Now, prior to this, not I work with Djinns, that I even interacted with them, know any research, but I've heard of genies before, but I have not done a deep study on it. So, but like I said, immediately when I saw him, I knew he was a Djinn, and he looked very much like Courage the Cowardly Dog, that Ramses episode, Ramses, and the guy looks very tattered and stuff. Now, he didn't look like that, but I'm saying that was kind of his energy. He kind of looked skeleton-like. He had black clothes on, that were tattered and stuff like that, and very diabolical kind of looking. Now, this time when I saw him, he definitely looked healthy. And I would say that he looked Persian to me. That's what he looked like. Healthy. He had meat on his bones. He didn't look like a skeleton. He looked like, I guess he was appearing as a man. Now, I asked him, what does his true form look like? And child, I don't even know what to say, but it looks something like a crab, lobster, mythological creature kind of something, child, like a ghost lobster or something. I don't even know, but I was like, okay, give me the other one. Give me the one that I'm comfortable with. And so he went back to looking like this Persian man. And so anyways, he was the one that gave me this rock of living fire. Now, I'm not going to get into too many details, but what I will say is that I realized, because then I looked up and I was like, are Djinns associated to caves? And Djinns are associated. They are associated to caves and hidden treasures in caves. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's why it was saying the cave, because it originally, I thought in my head as I was looking at it, I was like, oh, this is the cave of treasures. And then this female energy, I feel like it was a female energy that was like, this is specifically the cave of hidden treasures. So it wasn't just the cave of treasures from Adam and Eve, right? In the Apocrypha. This was the cave of hidden treasures. And Djinn are associated with hidden treasures and caves. So when I saw that yesterday, I almost passed out. Now I'm trying to see if I can find this Abu thing. So that was in August, so it must be the one in June. Because by August, I wrote down that Abu was the Djinn person, which I didn't know. Right, so this is June that I heard Abu. August that I figured out Abu was the father of the Djinn. And then October when I actually came face to face with him, okay? And really, yesterday when I figured out who it was, I was face to face with, which is why it's important to write down your dreams. Okay, the god, Abu is in abundance. Oh, yeah. The god of abundance is a god of the 13 houses. Oh, that's the 13 zodiacs too. Okay. The origin of Kaka's name is most likely not Sumerian or Akkadian, but rather Amorite. A deity named Dagaga is nonetheless already attested in the early dynastic god list from Abu Salbik. Okay. I thought it was in June. Okay. No, there's something else that I wrote specifically about Abu. May? Was it all the way back in May? Wow, you have to actually it's actually case sensitive. Is it case sensitive? Why didn't I know it was case sensitive? Oh, Oh, Abu is also in Nabu. Oh, interesting. I didn't even put that together, child. Ooh. And then I wrote about Cyrus the Great. Ooh. Goodness gracious. Okay. Well, when I find the Abu thing, I will write about it. But I know there's like a specific day a while ago where I was writing that name down. And all of a sudden, I can't find it right now. I didn't know it was case sensitive either. So I'm going to wait till I find it. But I wanted to say that. And then I think that I talked about that this living rock is also associated to red coral. But I wanted to say that it was like an electric. So it wasn't, it was like electric, or there's a word that I'm thinking about in my head. Fluorescent, maybe? Fluorescent. Is that the right word? Fluorescent or iridescent? Let me see. Fluorescent. Oh, no. Bursting into a flower. No. Iridescent. 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 That means having or showing shifting changes in color or interplay of rainbow-like colors. It wasn't rainbow-like colors. It was just white electricity looking. It kind of looked like, I wouldn't say peaches and cream because it was a deeper orange than that, but yeah. But is there, I don't know, electric coral? I don't know. Electric red coral. That's what it looked like. And it didn't necessarily look like the texture of coral. It was actually really smooth, so he had polished it. And it was like a oval kind of egg-like stone. And again, it was representing some aspect of my soul or something that I didn't even know was missing. But he handed it back to me, and he was very reluctant. So I'm talking about initially when I saw this Djinn, after the red heifer situation, and I was walking with her in the desert because I would not kill her. And he returned this stone to me because I had decided not to kill her. And like I said, he was not happy about it. He was not a happy camper. He wanted me. Well, I wouldn't say that he necessarily wanted me to, because I don't know if he was even paying attention to me before this happened. But it was kind of like he had to return it, though. So it was like passing some type of test that I didn't know that I was under. And I've been having a lot of stuff about energies of the desert lately. But yeah, that's the last thing that I wanted to say. So yes, all those fun things, like, comment, subscribe, share it with a friend. Bye.